Well, a forward for the Wichita Thunder joining us today on Coastin, presented by FloHockey TV, along with Evan Pivnik. This is David Fine, and recommended by the voice of the Wichita Thunder himself. He recommended Ryan White, former NHLer with the Philadelphia Flyers, Montreal Canadiens, and a lengthy professional career, and now slugging it down in the Mountain Division of the ECHL. Ryan, how's everything going with you? How's your day going?
It's been going good, guys. Enjoying a nice day off after a big win last night, and just trying to get some rest here before the final stretch here.
How strange of a season has it been? Obviously, you've played in a lot of different places for a long time, but this one, I'm sure, has been out of the ordinary. Kind of take us through March of last year to where you're at now.
Yeah, when everything went down last year, is getting on a plane. We were with the Manitoba Moose on our way to Milwaukee there for started with 4-4, and we weren't in a great situation, and weren't going to make the playoffs kind of thing. So when we did get the call, it wasn't for us, it wasn't the end of the world. We were kind of out of the race anyways, but you just kind of didn't know what was going to happen in the future. And I think that's kind of the one thing you learn from a situation from this is enjoy what you got when you got things going on, because all of a sudden you're sitting at home, like you said, for a long time. I was at home for a long time. They're not sure what to do and what the future would lie for me, and just one thing led to another, and kind of made my way down here through Steph Fournier here, who was player coach with the team, and old connections, I guess, playing with guys and going through the trenches with them before kind of leads you back with certain people. And I'm sure happy things kind of worked out the way they did, because it's been a lot of fun for me and my family to come down here and enjoy myself and get to play some good hockey.
I think I'm correct in Piv. Was Steph our first or our second guest? I can't remember.
I believe he was our second or third. I think, because our first episode was Garrett Sparks, and then Stefan Fournier joined after the fact in episode 2. I believe that was the split episode with him, and I believe the head coach of Rapid City. So it was fun. Yeah. So Steph, it was a great. We had a lot of fun with him. He's a great guy.
He's definitely a character, and it's been a lot of fun to get back playing with him. Like I said, I had years before played with him in the Montreal system, a little bit in Phoenix, and getting back to play with him, it's just been like good old times.
We still haven't been able to solve, and Piv will laugh at this, whether Steph actually knew that we were recording the video of it, because if I do, I get a laugh out of Piv here. I'm not sure if this fits into what Steph's all about, and you could give him a chirp on this, but I think like there was like some video games going on in the background, muted, heard a little clicking, phone was kind of going up and down. I mean, is that kind of the
he was pacing back and forth. He was going from room to room.
Yeah, that guy doesn't sit still, man. He's always on the go, and I think that's the best thing about him. He brings a lot of life to the locker room, and I think if you guys have been around this league a little bit of time, there's some tough days and some grinding games, and the 3-3s, and you definitely need a Steph Fournier in the locker room, and that's the big thing for us is we like to keep it loose around here and have some fun, and just kind of the situation they have with the older guys here. He's kind of been the ringleader around the team, and guys kind of rally around him, and just with that kind of attitude of having fun with things. It really goes a long way in this league.
You've played in the NHL, you've played in the AHL. This is your first season playing in the ECHL. From a perception standpoint, obviously, you got drafted in 2006, and the ECHL was a very different league from what it is now. From your playing career, what have you seen or heard kind of from the ECHL to your experience this year playing in the ECHL?
Well, I'll tell you, my rookie year in the American League, I got in a little bit of trouble off the ice, and I got kind of brought in one time by their coach at the time and kind of threatened to send me down to the East Coast. And, at the time when you're a young kid, you're almost mortified to have to get sent down there. And, back then the league was a little bit of a tougher league. And, I think just getting the start of where it really was starting to get good. And, you kind of look back at it now and kind of being down here full circle, and how developmental the league is and how these guys get an opportunity to play. I say to these guys all the time, I wish I had the opportunity to come down here as a 20-year-old kid and, just really get to work on my game and not really have the high pressure situation of, getting one step up to be called up and trying to find your way in the lineup every night and grind and battle. And, I think it's just a good opportunity to, for these young guys to start their pro careers and really get an opportunity to play and learn. And, we're lucky here to have a coach like Bruce Ramsey, who has been around in a lot of situations and played for a long time, coaching some good organizations. We do a lot of I feel like we got a lot of Grand Rapids Griffins in our blood here, just kind of from him coaching there and being on a part of a winning team. And, he brings a lot of that to the table. And, like I said, it's even for me at 33, I'm developing my game a little bit. I think that's been the best thing about it, getting to play in some situations where I haven't got to play in a long time. And, there's opportunity down here to play well, and the league's good. This year especially, I find a lot of these teams we go in and play now, and we're playing Fort Wayne and these places where there's teams that have been good for a long time. They know how to play in their rinks, and those are just as good as opportunities to develop for young kids. I've been in a long time in the American League, so I think it's come a long way. The hockey's good, and it's definitely surprised me a little bit how good the game is down here for sure.
Ever get old walking into a rink you've never been in for the first time?
Here, yeah, we were in Fort Wayne last week, man, and that's certainly something special. I think for any young hockey player, it's an environment you gotta really challenge yourself to be good in, and their fans are all over you, and they definitely know how to play in that rink. I'll give them credit. That was one of the best teams I played in this league, and they came out the Friday night there, and we thought we were in a vacuum. Everything was kind of zooming around us pretty quick, and they're making quick plays, and they're big and strong, and their fans are in it, and we had to buck up pretty quick there to start playing some good hockey to get out of there with some points. And it's a good learning environment for the young guys, and like I said, for myself, just getting some chances to play in these big environments and big time games again is a lot of fun.
Growing up in Brandon, Manitoba, obviously you had the Winnipeg Jets, and then they go away, and you kind of have to find your way into rooting for an NHL team. Who was your NHL team growing up? Kind of maybe you saw a little bit of the Jets, but kind of after that.
Yeah, I only went to one Jet game as a kid, and they got spanked by the Wings 7-1. And after that, I started watching the Wings quite a bit. So, they were kind of in the 90s there where they were good. And, they had the grind line there with McCarty and Draper and Maltby. And, I was a big Irishman fan. I was a young kid. And obviously, they were playing a lot of hockey and winning a lot of big series and stuff like that. So I was kind of always watching those guys. And, you got to see those good Avalanche Wings series, stuff like that. So I grew up in that era. And, I think, the other guy was a big Lindros fan, just the way he played and how physical he was with that offensive side of the game too. He was a lot of fun to watch as a kid, and I always tried to kind of emulate my game around Big E, but I wasn't always as big as him, so I didn't always have that extra strength. But I always tried to play like a hard player like him.
And you had the Wheat Kings there too. What would you describe? I know you played for them a little bit, not the Wheat Kings in the dub,
yeah.
But some minor hockey there. But what's the small city like that in Manitoba's relationship to that team, to the WHL Brandon Wheat Kings?
Oh, for sure. Those guys were my heroes growing up. We had Jordan Tutu playing down, and Ryan Craig and a couple of these guys, and Marty Murray and Chris Dingman when I was a young kid, and Wade Redden, and just some really good hockey teams, and great experiences to go watch games and fall in love with the game. Really, I actually grew up watching the university team in town a lot with my uncle playing on the team and just being around the rink a lot, and you kind of grow into loving the game, and I think. Talking with the Brandon Wheat Kings, I think Kelly McCrimmon always had a big stamp on that team about being physical and, not taking too much guff, and they always played hard. And, that kind of just, I think for a lot of kids from town that really stuck with them. And I remember going to those games sometimes and, Jordan Tutu having the place kind of rocking and, special moments in there to kind of, just the way he played. And, I think it always stuck with me, and I kind of always wanted to play that way as well.
It's funny because when you look at your career playing in the NHL, guys have to do what they have to do in order to get a roster spot, and you were one of those guys because you look at your numbers in junior, and you were over a point a game in your years in with the Calgary Hitmen. Just kind of describe you as a player growing up, going into junior, and then kind of just seeing where it goes after that.
Yeah, like I didn't really have much of an idea of playing the NHL. I was a young kid who was a pretty good player, and we won midget nationals as a 15-year-old, and I was probably the fourth or fifth best player on that team. So I was always kind of a depth guy. And then kind of once I got into junior, I got kind of lucky. I got to play behind Ryan Getzlaff as a 16-year-old. And, Getzy was kind of the leader of our team. And we had a, pretty deep core my 16-year-old year. And then all those guys left. So when I came as a 17-year-old, I started to play a ton of minutes. And, kind of by default, I started to become the number one center. And, and that one thing led to another. And I got drafted that year, and then kind of kept working on my game, getting more opportunities. And, had a couple special years there where I got to really lead the team and play a lot of big minutes and, put up some points. And I think, when I turned pro, I learned pretty quickly. It seemed like every guy had a lot of those points and had the same kind of resume as I did, and it was just started to come to the point of what I was going to do to try and get into that next level and try and make it to the NHL. And I just had a little bit of a physical role down in Hamilton when I started, and we had a couple older guys like Eric Nielsen, Jimmy Bono, and Alex Henry, who would kind of take care of the big boys for me. And the rest of us kind of just tried to find our way in there. And just by being physical and playing that way, sometimes fighting kind of happens with it. And I just always kind of tried to run with it as much as I could, and just kind of keep trying to find my way in the lineup and do whatever I can to stay up there.
I was going to ask you a follow-up question about the WHL, but then you opened the Eric Nielsen Pandora's box there. I had a chance to work with Neeler when I was just an intern. I was just in college at the Syracuse Crunch, and it was the year after they won the championship down in Norfolk and the affiliation switched. And man, what a special guy. He, for the people listening that don't know, AHL Man of the Year nominee like every single year. Just has a way of making you laugh every single time he's around. I know from a couple coaches that I've talked to, their perspective is just like that played with him or interacted with him in the AHL. It's just like you literally could not construct a better guy for the locker room than Eric Nielsen. So, what was your experience like playing with him? What kind of crazy do to keep the boys in check?
Well, you know what? That's probably the best way to describe him. He's the ultimate team guy. And I think I was so fortunate. I got to live with him the year I played with him. And, just like I said before, those guys really took care of me because, the way I played, I always had to answer the bell. And, we even, when you have those big heavyweights, their role and they take care of the guys on the team, it really allows you to play. And, that was big for me. I never would have got to the place that I would have got if I didn't have guys like Eric Nielsen. I think, a lot of us really appreciated him when we had him there. And I think the best thing about him was, we had a really good team the year we were there. We set a bunch of records in the regular season. Down the stretch, Neeler wasn't playing very much, but it almost became he was more and more part of the team, as the bigger games got on, because you'd be in the locker room and be so loose and keep the guys fresh. And we got a lot of Ric Flair woos, and he'd come in and just get you a couple of times to get the boys going, and just just an ultimate team guy. And I think and it's tough. I've been in those situations where you're not playing and you're expected to be the guy to kind of protect everybody and be the big brother and you be the sounding board. Sometimes guys kind of forget about Neeler, and he never let that be part of it. And I think that's why we were successful at guys like him when I was down there, and really showed me how to be a pro. And it's funny, I remember a couple years later I was in Lehigh Valley, at the time, but we came up to Syracuse to play, and I remember riding in on the bus and I see this billboard, and I keep looking closer, and Eric Nielsen's laying on this net on this billboard that I just I couldn't, when I first saw it I couldn't believe it. But when I started thinking about it, I'm thinking it doesn't take long for this guy to get to a new place, and everyone in town love him. Just the way he treats people off the ice, the way he treats people on the ice. You can be a bum on the street and he'd go talk to you and give you the time of day. And that's just what's special about him. And any guy I ever talked to about him, it's got the same thing to say about him. So like I said, it's special to have guys like that in the minors to kind of keep me in check and take care of me and make sure I was okay, and learn from. And like I said, just the ultimate locker room guy, and a special guy to play with for sure.
I'll let Piv go here in a second, but just to reference what the ad is that you are bringing up, very accurately described. So basically, if there's an escort service, it would be like for a good time call, and you normally see those things in Las Vegas. But Piv, I remember this marketing meeting where I forget who came up with the idea, but this was bounced around in the Crunch offices, and it was Neeler in full hockey garb and sort of has his skate as his leg kind of like poking off the back of the net with a phone up to his ears. And he kind of has like the, obviously the flow. And then he kind of has like this crazed look in his eye. And it says with the Crunch logo, and it says for a good time call. And then, tickets with
the number. That's great.
Yeah. So that's what he's referencing. I'll let you go ahead here, Piv.
Like a big billboard on the highway too, man. Like
you can't miss it.
Miss it.
No.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Because the thing I like about that is that, one, that's great marketing, and two, it's like, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, it's very minor league sports in the term where that's genius. There's a lot of times where it's like that, because you won't really see that in the NHL because they don't really want to promote their players or their brand like that. But somehow that just works so perfectly in minor league sports that just like that's an A+ in terms of marketing. Ryan, I want to keep talking to you about I mentioned before you were drafted in 2006. You were drafted by the Montreal Canadiens, and for you, I'm sure that had to be really special and also maybe a little kind of terrifying, because this is a franchise that has been there, done that the most amount of times of any other NHL franchise, just an historic franchise that, again, like, the fans are crazy. Everything about it is so under the microscope. When you got the call that you were drafted to Montreal, what were some of the first few thoughts that went through your mind?
Yeah, well, like you said, when you first get drafted by him, you're definitely honored, and you don't really realize how special it is. And I didn't realize how special it was till I got there. And once you kind of get down there, I remember going out for my first couple of camps, and just really being blown out of the water. And you think you've been in some places where hockey's big and hockey's number one, but you really haven't been anywhere until you've been to Montreal. And that's the thing about French culture and Montreal. The fans, you either love them or you hate them, and every fan I've ever talked to loves them, absolutely loves them. And sometimes it's tough to live up to, but it's certainly a special place to play, and certainly a special place to kind of grow up in the NHL. And I was lucky enough to kind of marinate in the Myers a little bit and get some get some seasoning under my belt to kind of get in. I felt bad. We had some guys come in, in some tough situations there, and when things don't work out, they don't work out. And in Montreal, they let you know pretty quick, and they run you through the media, and things don't go very good. So it's tough playing in that environment sometimes. But I was fortunate to have some good times there and playing some good teams, and really have some great teammates to play with and kind of help navigate through those situations. Because when the times aren't going good, they are tough. And I think you got to learn that pretty quick in that environment. And I think the best thing about it is when things are going good, like right now, and they're kind of hanging around in the series, and trying to find ways to win games. Those guys are really cementing themselves in history there, and they'll never be forgotten. So I think it's a special place to play, and you definitely can't take that for granted, because it's sometimes you miss those nights where it's 18,000 screaming fans in there, and you get a lucky bounce and get a goal, and there's nothing else like it.
First call up, where was it? When did you find out you're going up to Montreal? How did it all work out? How'd the first game go?
Yeah, I went to the draft. I didn't. I was in Vancouver. Me and my family went out there, and we waited through a couple rounds, and I remember getting a little bit nervous, thinking, I'm gonna be the kid here waiting all day. And I was pretty fortunate when I got picked there in the third round, and that's kind of how things started. And then I remember getting my call for the first game. I was at home in Hamilton, and I had Bob Gainey call me. He was the GM at the time, and just kind of mentioned that I was going to fly out and meet the team in Boston, get to play my first game the next night. And, that brings a whirlwind of emotions in itself. And, started calling grandpa and, mom and dad, and then went back home, letting them know. And you made it. And, once you get that first game under your belt, it was a lot of fun. I remember us winning up in Boston. I got picked up an assist, and, stuff you'll never forget for sure. And, it's kind of bouncing up and down the next couple of years and trying to get my footing up there. And, once I kind of got my foot in the door, just trying to hang on and enjoy the ride.
You scored your first NHL goal in Minnesota, and you happened to not only score in that game, you recorded a Gordie Howe hat trick in that game,
which
I'm sure probably meant a lot to you at the time, the role that you had. But one of the most, and you could stop me anytime, because Finer and I, we're nerds when it comes to broadcasting. It's what we do for a living. So for you, because I watched the highlight of it earlier today of your goal, and the thing that stuck out to me first was the guy who was calling the game on the CBC feed was Bob Cole. So for you, I'm sure growing up in Canada, watching Hockey Night in Canada and watching all these games, Bob Cole was the guy, along with Jim Houston a lot of the times. But have you ever really sat down and watched that highlight and kind of hear like the voice from your childhood kind of describing your just a milestone moment for you?
I really haven't taken it in that much, but getting to play in Montreal, and you getting to play in some of those environments, and a lot of Saturday night games, the Hockey Night in Canada. I'm pretty sure Cassie Campbell interviewed me after the game after that one, and just another hockey legend in Canada, and it's special. I think getting to accomplish some of those dreams as a kid is certainly it's surreal sometimes when you go back to look at it. And I just remember that game, getting a good pass and empty net from my buddy. And, I didn't score in my first couple of games. It took me almost 2 seasons. I played a couple of games the year before, and then this was late in that season where I was playing a lot of games. And, sometimes you're trying too hard to get that one and get a nice open net from my buddy there, Benny Pouliot. And, I'll never forget that one. And, it's certainly special. And, like you said, getting to kind of play in those moments in Hockey Night in Canada, and, having Bob Cole call your name and stuff like that. It's stuff you think of as a kid, but once it comes true, it's pretty special. I got a young boy here now who's 3, and, we were just playing hockey today, and, turning the lights off because the Thunder score and stuff like that. And, you get those memories as a young kid, and they really stick with you and drive you. And, I think it's definitely special getting to enjoy those moments.
Did you get the Hockey Night in Canada towel?
Yeah, I guess definitely stole a couple of those. Yeah, I wasn't giving those ones back.
Great.
Finer, sorry to cut you off.
No, not at all. I was going to say when we had Danny Briere on the podcast, another former Canadian and Philadelphia Flyer, which I want to talk about as well there. He talked a little bit about the fan base and everything, but he said what he really loved was that he had an apartment in Montreal, and he loved just being able to walk to the arena and kind of take it all in on his walk. And I think when, in the minors, if the hotel is within walking distance, there's something about that. But in Montreal, it's obviously hyped up a little bit. So when you were in Montreal, did you have a place close to the arena? What was your trek like to Bell Center?
Yeah, like when I was, first getting called up and down there, I was staying in the hotel quite a bit. And, it was just a couple blocks away. And I'll never forget that my first series, we lost to Boston there in, I think, 2011 and 7. And, game 6, I walked to the rink on the way there, and people were yelling at you and, telling you to get in there and have a good game and stuff like that. And, it's just, the party doesn't stop there. When the playoffs are on, it's all day long. And, you're trying to get a pregame nap in, and you can hear them downstairs kind of getting raucous and getting ready for the game. The fans are all driving around honking their horns. And, and that's the special thing about it, is just trying to take it all in and enjoy it. And as a young kid, it's tough. You kind of take those moments for granted. But, I played with Danny a little bit in Montreal there when he came in, and, what a special guy. And, he was a great teammate and a great leader for us. And, he was living downtown there, and he'd have his boys come into town and bring him to the rink. And, he was just such a good father and good teammate for us to have there. And the special player, he was really, for us that year, one of our best players down the stretch, and kind of, we went on a good run in the playoffs that year. A lot to do with him. So it was a cool experience. And, I think anyone who gets to enjoy a game down in that environment, there's some of those places, I saw the game the other night in Boston, the fans are going nuts back in the rinks and stuff like that. And, some of those rinks are really fun to play in. They're special environments, and you can't beat them.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go to Game 6 at Nassau Coliseum last series between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Islanders. And growing up, I've gone to the Coliseum. I grew up 15 minutes away from the Coliseum. I watched a lot of not so great hockey in that building.
Yeah.
But it's cool to kind of see the fans all come out, especially like nowadays where fans haven't been in an environment where they could make noise and celebrate a lot. So being there was really cool. And you got to play at Nassau Coliseum a bunch of times. I'm sure you got to.
Yeah, that's a great rink. And, I think it's a intimate environment in that arena. You definitely have you walk over from the hotel there, and the fans are there some days, and they're yapping at you, and they got that New York accent telling you you're going to lose and stuff like that. So it's cool. And I think, it's cool to see the boys back playing in there. I was kind of in the league when they weren't a very good team, and, Josh Bailey and Matt Martin and these guys and Clutterbuck, they're going through some lumps there, and it's good to see those guys playing some good hockey and, getting rewarded for it.
You played in Philadelphia as well, which, and again, we talked to Briere about this, but it's like, that market, I know it's very like, okay, the Eagles, they're going to swear about the Eagles and the Phillies and the Sixers, but the Flyers too have a really special place in that community. And everybody kind of, there might be a few random New York transplants that are like Giants fans, or, like some Washington people that are Washington football team fans, or Baltimore, because it's all so close. But it seems like the Flyers is kind of a pretty big galvanizing force there. And they let you know, maybe a little bit different than Montreal with some more, not in French, but they let you know when you're not playing well. So Philadelphia, what'd you like about it? What was your experience playing in Philly?
Yeah, I loved every minute of Philly, man. It was a great place to play. We had a great group of guys there, and they really play they really play into it in Philly. It's still that old school hockey, banging around, crashing, hard work, and that's the one thing you learn about the Flyer fans pretty quick. If you give a good effort and you lay it on the line every night for them, man, they're gonna love you. And I think that's kind of the best thing I remember about playing there is it didn't matter about executing plays or making nice plays. It was about blood and guts. And one night I remember one of my first or second games, they're bleeding all over the place. I had my nose busted a couple times, just getting into the forecheck and getting banged around a little bit. And I think I had a couple of hits late in the game, and those were the loudest moments I had in that building. It was just blood pouring down my face, and running guys through the wall. And, it's just it's a pretty special environment. I remember a couple of times just us playing the Rangers at home, and security's dragging Ranger fans out of the building. They're bloodied up in the crowd, and it's a crazy environment there, man. It's just makes it for a lot of fun. And when you get that place rocking, it's tough to beat. And I think, I remember going in there with Montreal and, a couple other teams later in my career. And, it's never an easy place to play. And it doesn't really matter who's on the team because, the fans demand a certain type of hockey. And, sooner or later in the game, it's coming out. And I think that's the special thing about Philly. You get that place rocking pretty good. It's a tough momentum for the other team. And there's really nowhere for them to hide. So it's when you get that place going, it's a tough place to play in, man. It's a lot of fun.
And you had a lot of grit to your game, so I'm sure that fit in right where they wanted you to be in Philadelphia, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it kind of was a perfect storm for me. I was trying to battle back in my career. I had a tough injury to start when I first signed in Philly. I blew my pec off in the summer, and I was out for 3-4 months. And the team wasn't, we weren't playing great when I got back to the lineup. And I got an opportunity to just kind of be a boost of energy for the team, and it just worked out for me. And I just tried to run with it as much as I could. And we had a good group of guys there, man. That Claude Drew is a great captain, and Jakey Voracek and Wayne Simmons were there, and we had Radko Gudas and a couple mean players, and it was a lot of fun, man. The Flyers got a certain way about them, and everyone on the team's got a certain compete level. And I remember one of my first practices there, I got stuck in the face by Giroux because I took the puck off him on the penalty kill, and he wasn't really apologizing to me. He was kind of mad that I took the puck. So and that's kind of the environment it is there, is compete first and ask questions later, and that's kind of the way they're built. So it was a lot of fun to play there for me.
The next year you're in Arizona and Minnesota, and then the following year is San Diego AHL, and you're kind of in the AHL after that. For someone that played, I know there's a little bit of up and down in there, a couple stints in Lehigh Valley and Hamilton built in there as well. But for someone that had been and lived sort of that NHL lifestyle, what were your feelings at the time? It was back in 2017-18, where you're in San Diego and Iowa built in for a full year, and you kind of didn't get that taste to get back there.
Yeah, and even to add on to that, I went to camp that year in Vancouver, and I played an exhibition game there. I ended up getting a concussion, and it was kind of out for a couple of weeks, and I ended up going to Boston for a month and trying to kind of work my way in there. Couldn't quite make the team, and then I ended up going home and then to San Diego, and then so it was a little bit of a year trying time, and just trying to get back in the league. That's all I was doing was trying to find anyone to give me a chance. And when I got to San Diego, they were banged up in Anaheim and missing some bodies, and just trying to climb my way up the ladder there. Things just really didn't work out. Dallas Eakins was coaching there, was great for me there, and was really honest with us, and played me as much as I could. And then kind of once they got some guys back from injuries, and they were kind of set up to kind of be back to where they were, he kind of told me to go find somewhere else to play. And I just tried going back to Minnesota, where I was the year before, and same thing, trying to kind of climb the ladder and get my way back up. And things didn't work out, but both great places, good stops on the map. I really enjoyed myself in San Diego. It's a top-notch organization in the American League, and you can't complain when you're living on the beach and going to the rink. So we had a lot of fun there. And even Iowa, like I said before, we were talking about Iowa, and it's a great place, and people are awesome there, and super friendly, and really nice town in Des Moines. And we had a good team there that year. We kind of fell off, the wheels kind of fell off a little bit for us at the end, but I met some good hockey people there, and some good friends, and like I said, it was both good stops on the map. And I think getting the opportunity to play in Iowa that year kind of led me, I think, back to Manitoba, just playing them quite a few times, and having some good games against them, and maybe showing them what I can do. And just spending the last couple of years in Manitoba a little bit more of a mentor role and a leadership role, and just trying to kind of help the young guys along, be a good pro, and getting play close to home was pretty special. And like I said, you always want to be in the big league and try and make it to the NHL, but the last couple of stops on the map have been pretty special to me. And getting the chance to play close to home in Winnipeg was awesome. And the Moose and the Jets are top-notch organization to treat your players really well. So I got nothing but good things to say. And just kind of where it led me down here. And this year has kind of been, I would never expect that I would be in the East Coast to start the season, but it's sure been a lot of fun, and it's been good for my game, and just trying to develop as a player. And I'm wearing when I'm wearing a letter, I'm wearing the captain the first time in a long time in my career, and those are different situations that I get to kind of enjoy, and kind of learn from every game. And I've been put in different situations leader this year that I've really had to learn from, and it's been a good experience for me.
So obviously the physicality in your game as you get older, do you still have that? I'm sure the competitiveness comes out, but now that you're in a role that's a little more secure, you're not trying to really fight for your spot anymore, literally and figuratively. Do you still have that, edge to get under people's skin? Do you still have the agitator in you as much as you did when you were a younger player?
Yeah, yes and no. I'm trying to be a little bit more smarter of it, but now, as you get older, you kind of get banged up a little bit. You know what the price is and when you pay it, and I got to pick my spots a little bit more than I was when I was 20. But I'm really lucky here with the group we got. We got a couple guys who got some mean edges to them, and I just it's funny some nights. I get going and they start backing me up, and I almost don't even have to do anything anymore because they won't let me. So it's good to kind of be in that role, but it's sometimes you gotta you still gotta fight for yourself. You still gotta create space, and I think my first couple games down here, I tried to be as physical as I could, and just let people know I still got it. And sometimes you gotta bark to let them keep them away from you a little bit, but it's tough to get that out of your game. It's something that's always there, and I've always played with a lot of emotion. And I think when things aren't going good for me, maybe offensively or with the team, I know I can always go back to that and be physical and be a little bit nastier and trying to be harder on guys. And it seems to bring out the best in me. So as much as I'd like to maybe say don't like to play that way anymore, it's hard for me to turn that switch off. So it's been I've been lucky to have the guys around me. We got Gravy and Alley Cat in the back end. They've been tough as nails all year. And Steph Fournier is a physical presence, and we got Big Mac Gagnon too, who no, I don't want to mess with him, so I don't think many guys do. So it's been good, and it really breathes through the locker room. We got a lot of guys chomping at the bit to play harder and play a little bit more freer out there and be a little bit more physical. And that's the best thing about it is when I think Steph Fournier says it the best. We come as a pack with this team. We're a wolf pack, and it's not just one guy, it's five of us, and some nights it's 10 and 15, and we're not messing around. So it's pretty fun.
We're recording today on Memorial Day, so the episode is going to come out later this week. But I mean, you guys are still going. It's going to be June by the time this one's released, and you got playoffs coming up. And the only of the ECHL, AHL, NHL, AHL didn't play 72 games. NHL didn't play their full slate as well. I think at 54 or 56 this year. But you guys have been going all year, and here you go again, and right into the playoffs. I know the playoffs are like shorter this year, but what do you feel about the fact that you're playing playoffs and starting it in June, and you got another week left of the regular season here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's been long, but for me, I've only been here for a couple months, and I really missed the grind of the first part of the season. The boys had COVID, and kind of were shut down for a couple weeks and trying. I think I heard the story a couple days ago. They came back, practiced once, and half the team played the next day. So it's they really grinded to get where they were, and they put themselves in a good situation. When I got there, they were already in a good situation. I just tried to kind of jump on and keep the boys going the right way and really bring some life and some motivation, and that energy of really wanting to be back at the rink again, because I hadn't been at the rink for a long time. So it was fresh for me, and I really enjoyed it. And I think it is getting late in the year, and I know next season's coming pretty quickly for a lot of guys, but at the same time, man, like I say to these guys all the time, you don't get many opportunities to raise banners and many opportunities to play playoff hockey down the stretch. And I think the longer we keep playing, obviously the better for all of us. And like you said, the NHL is they're in the playoffs. There's no American League this year in the playoffs, and our hope is to keep playing as long as we can, get some scouts in the building for these young kids, and really show what we can do down the stretch here, and hopefully go as far as we can.
Obviously, this has been a strange year for everyone, as we talked about before, and for you being 33 years old here in the ECHL, and you've had a wild ride so far in your pro career. Do you see a few more years of seeing what you can do on the ice, or is this kind of maybe the swan song?
When I first probably came here, I was thinking just to kind of get back playing again. I really missed it. I think that was the biggest thing, was when I was at home, was how much I guess hockey players say all the time, we're kind of defined as hockey players. And I think the biggest thing for me, I kind of learned it the hard way, sitting at home for 10 months and really missing the game and missing my teammates. And, it's therapeutic for a lot of us to get to the rink, man, and just enjoy ourselves and be hockey players. And, that's one of the biggest things I missed, is getting to do that every day. And I think, having that opportunity to come back and play, it's been special for me. And, it's definitely injected a lot of life back into my game. And, I'm really enjoying myself. And, as long as I can keep convincing my wife to keep letting me play, man, we keep playing as long as I can. So it's been a lot of fun. And, I can't say enough good things about Wichita and the Thunder. And, it's definitely, like I said, it's given me a lot of life to kind of get back playing again. Like I said, I missed it, man. It's been a lot of fun to be back.
Ryan, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for taking a few minutes to hop on with us here. Hope you had as much fun as we did. Listen to a few of the good stories there.
Always, man. I love talking hockey. Happy to be a part of it. And, best luck, guys. And hopefully see you down the stretch and next season sometime.
Definitely. And this, again, has been a presentation of FloHockey TV, Coastin podcast, almost to the playoffs. And then we'll figure out what the old schedule is on FloHockey for our playoff episodes. But that's been Ryan White, along with Evan Pivnik. I'm David Fine. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy the post-Memorial Day week.